working with municipal entities throughout the Commonwealth. In December of 2014, we were engaged by the Borough of Colwyn to create an early intervention plan for the borough as part of the Commonwealth Early Intervention Program. The Early Intervention Program was established by the Commonwealth to assist municipalities in reviewing operation and financial performance, as well as developing fiscal projections and recommending action steps to municipalities which they can implement with the intent to improve both financial and operational performance. The Early Intervention Plan provides for the development of an emergency action plan to assist the borough with critical cash flow or operational issues that may impact the health, safety, and welfare of its residents. As such, we submitted an emergency action plan to the borough in February of 2015. While developing the interim action plan, we found great difficulty gathering the financial management information necessary to determine a complete understanding of the fiscal health of the borough. The borough has not had an audit prepared by a certified public accountant since 2011, nor are records to accounting journals, a general ledger, or a trial balance available to review in order to properly assess the borough's finances. A major concern is that there is a number of unpaid invoices that are currently outstanding, and that these invoices are not incorporated into the financial system the borough currently utilizes. In addition, our review raised serious concerns relating to the ability of the borough to manage its own fiscal management record-keeping system, including a lack of solid financial management systems, little presence of internal control mechanisms, and late and inadequate annual audits. Colwyn's governance is ineffective at best. Council meetings are disorganized and unruly. During the course of our review, nearly every member of council and borough manager discussed concerns about the decorum of council meetings. Meetings have become so unruly that NBC 10 has run multiple segments into borough operations and chaotic council meetings. Links to those reports are included in our emergency action plan that was submitted in February. The mistrust amongst members of borough leadership, including elected and appointed officials, and the lack of good communication between leadership is a direct impediment to the borough addressing the issues it faces. Upon our review of the borough's 2015 budget, we also identified concerns with assumptions made while developing the 2015 budget. This includes the real estate taxes being overestimated by more than $181,000. The 2015 budget assumes a property tax collection rate of 100%, when the historic collection rate is closer to 80%. This discrepancy equates to more than $181,000. In addition to the revenue shortfall for 2015, as mentioned earlier, there is also a large amount of unfunded liabilities that are outstanding. As of the date of our emergency action plan presented in February, the borough had a total amount of unfunded liabilities of $1,185,103. This includes missed and past due pension MMO payments for 2012, 2013, and 2014, unpaid sewer fees, insurance deductibles, liquid fuels reimbursement, other bills that were incurred prior to 2015, as well as the aforementioned property tax revenue shortfall. Given all of our concerns regarding the borough's unfunded liabilities, financial controls, 2015 budget, the municipal governance of its government, and in an effort to foster fiscal integrity of the Borough of Colwyn so that they may provide for the health, safety, and welfare of their citizens, pay principal and interest on their debt obligations when due, meet financial obligations to their employees, vendors, and suppliers, and provide for proper financial accounting procedures, budgeting, and tax practices, we recommend that the Borough of Colwyn be accepted by the department into Act 47. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hottenstein. Appreciate that. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Jonathan Hendrickson from our staff, the policy specialist, and he will be presenting testimony regarding the department's findings from its consultative investigation undertaken pursuant to Act 47's Municipal Financial Recovery Act program. Mr. Hendrickson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As Ms. Kelly said, my name is Jonathan Hendrickson, and I am a local government policy specialist with the department, and I'm with the Governor's Center for Local Government Services. The Municipalities Financial Recovery Act, Act 47 of 1987, as amended, was promulgated to foster the fiscal integrity of municipalities so that they can provide for the health, safety, and welfare of their citizens, pay principal and interest on their debt obligations when due, meet financial obligations to their employees, vendors, and suppliers, and provide for proper financial accounting procedures, budgeting, and taxing practices. According to the Act, the failure of a municipality to do so shall adversely affect the health, safety, and welfare not only of the citizens of the municipality, but also of other citizens in this Commonwealth. Section 202 of Act 47, standing to request a determination, provides 10 categories of parties and individuals who have standing and may request a determination of municipal financial distress from the Secretary of the Department of Community and Economic Development. One party that has standing to request such a determination is the governing body of the municipality upon passing a resolution by a majority vote after a special meeting duly advertised as provided by law. On February 19, 2015, the Borough Council of the Borough of Colwyn passed a resolution authorizing the Borough to seek a determination of municipal financial distress and to seek financial aid by ways of loans, grants, or otherwise under and by authority of the Municipalities Financial Recovery Act. Subsequently, the Borough of Colwyn filed with the Department on a form provided by the Department to request that the Secretary of DCED determine that the Borough is a financially distressed municipality under the provisions of the Municipalities Financial Recovery Act. On February 20th, 2015, the request was signed by the President of Borough Council, Paul C. Muser, notarized, sealed, and sent to the Department, where it was received on February 26th, 2015. Another party that has standing to allege that the municipality is financially distressed is 10% of the number of electors of the municipality that voted at the last municipal election by petition to the Department alleging the municipality is fiscally distressed. On February 26, 2015, the Department did receive petitions in this matter. However, the petitions failed to meet all requirements under the law. As such, the Department found this request to be insufficient and therefore was unable to consider the petitions from the Colwyn electors a valid request. With this in mind, the Colwyn Borough Council's request for determination of financial distress is the only legally sufficient request. Section 203C of Act 47 authorizes the Department to conduct a consultative investigation into the financial affairs of the municipality after receiving the aforementioned request, but prior to conducting a public hearing, as required under Section 203B of Act 47. This testimony that I'm giving now is a result of that investigation. The review by the Department's Governor's Center for Local Government Services of the financial position of the Borough utilized Colwyn's 2015 Early Intervention Program, EIP, Emergency Action Plan that Ryan discussed, along with the services of the EIP consultant, SNL. The Emergency Action Plan was fully funded by the Department, and the Department had intimate involvement in the development of the plan. In conducting an investigation into the Borough's financial condition, the Center and the EIP consultant relied upon the accuracy and completeness of the financial information that was available from Borough officials, as well as certain information that was obtained from other sources. Financial, personnel, and other pertinent administrative records and information, including interim financial reports to the extent that they were available, were all considered in this investigation. Limited efforts were made to verify available information by comparing with original source documents, as would be done on a selective basis in an audit of the municipality. The Mayor, Borough Council, and Borough Manager were instrumental in providing their assistance and cooperation in gathering information during the course of the investigation. The objectives of our investigation were threefold. One, to provide a brief history of the Department's involvement with the Borough's financial situation, the development of the Early Intervention Program Emergency Action Plan, and the Borough's eventual request for distress determination. Two, to determine whether the Borough has met one or more of the eligibility requirements for determination of distress under Act 47, and, if so, three, to examine available financial records and other relevant data in order to recommend whether or not the borough should be determined to be distressed under the provisions of Act 47. The Borough Council's request for determination of financial distress alleges the presence of Section 201 criteria numbers 1, 2, 7, and 8. Central to Criterion 1 is the existence of a deficit of 1% or more in each of the previous 3 fiscal years. Validation of Criterion 2 requires evidence of expenditures in excess of revenues for a period of 3 years. Criterion 7 requires the municipality to have operated with a deficit of 5% or more of its revenues for 2 consecutive years. Finally, validation of Criterion 8 requires confirmation that the municipality has failed to make its minimum municipal obligation, or MMO, pension payments as required under Act 205 of 1984. To provide some context, the following is a brief history of the department's recent involvement with the borough. In March of 2014, the department rescinded the distressed status of the borough of Milburn, also located in Delaware County. At the meeting to officially announce the rescission, Milburn's solicitor, Mr. McBlain, also the solicitor of Colwyn, approached center staff about potential difficulties within the borough of Colwyn. Mr. McBlain believed that Colwyn could benefit from technical assistance, but suggested the department wait until after an investigation by the Delaware County District Attorney's Office was completed. In early summer of 2014, the Center's analysis of municipalities through its early warning system for financial distress identified Colwyn as one of the most likely municipalities in Pennsylvania to enter distress status. However, the investigation by the District Attorney's Office was ongoing, and DCD's access to the borough was limited. In August of 2014, the department met with borough officials and presented the early intervention program at a public meeting. Subsequent to this, on September 11th, 2014, the borough passed Resolution 2014-16, authorizing Colwyn's application for an early intervention program grant. The borough submitted its EIP application on October 3rd, 2014, and was awarded an EIP grant of $60,000 for a consultant to conduct a financial and strategic plan for the borough. Generally, the EIP plans span 5 years, although in municipalities experiencing immediate difficulties, the development of an emergency action plan is the first step of the process. By mid-December of 2014, the borough had engaged its EIP consultants, Stevens & Lee and Financial Solutions, we'll call them collectively S&L, as its EIP consultants. Shortly after the engagement began, S&L immediately realized the necessity for the development of an emergency action plan to address critical fiscal issues. Center staff and the EIP consultant visited Colwyn on January 7th, 2015 in an attempt to begin gathering data for the emergency action plan. However, very few records exist earlier than 2014. S&L made several subsequent attempts at acquiring data, but was generally unsuccessful. DCED and the consultant found record keeping to be almost non-existent prior to 2014 and merely insufficient beginning in 2014. While attempts at improvements were clearly made throughout 2014, Colwyn's general lack of administrative capacity prevented the borough manager from maintaining adequate financial management. On February 12, 2015, S&L presented its emergency action plan to Borough Council during its regular monthly meeting. Council voted unanimously at the meeting to approve the emergency action plan and begin implementing it. Highlights of the plan include requiring the borough to improve its governance and the order of its council meetings, immediately apply for an Act 47 determination, continuously monitor revenues and expenditures, limit expenditures to necessary purchases only, limit personnel costs by freezing wages and salary, limiting overtime, and evaluating all staffing levels. On February 19, 2015, in a special meeting, Colwyn Borough unanimously voted to request the Secretary of DCED determine Colwyn to be a financially distressed municipality. In an effort to investigate this request, Center staff have visited the borough several more times and made many requests for data and documentation. In general, documentation has been unavailable or incomplete. The borough manager has made a valiant effort to provide everything the department has requested, but many records simply do not exist. Upon filing for Act 47 status, the Borough set forth criteria 1, 2, 7, and 8 under Section 201 of the Act that it believes make the Borough eligible to be considered for an Act 47 determination. Based upon an analysis of the records that are available, it is our conclusion that the Borough of Colwyn can be considered for a distress determination because criterion 8 can be definitively validated. Following is a brief summary of each criterion and a rationale regarding the existence of each in Colwyn. Criterion 1. The municipality has maintained a deficit over a 3-year period with a deficit of 1% or more in each of the previous fiscal years. Criterion 2. The municipality's expenditures have exceeded revenues for a period of 3 years or more. Criterion 7. The municipality has accumulated and has operated for each of 2 successive years a deficit equal to 5% or more of its revenues. The Center found great difficulty in gathering the information necessary to determine whether these criteria were present due to the lack of audits, general ledger, or other complete financial records. Most importantly, no audits exist in their complete state for 2011, 2012, or 2013. And attempts by the Borough to complete these audits have been largely unsuccessful due to non-existent records. While the Center was able to identify certain records for 2014, it was unable to verify data prior to 2014. The Borough has significant unpaid liabilities, but these liabilities are generally not identifiable according to when they accrued. Additionally, these liabilities total over $1 million in a municipality whose annual budget is approximately $2.1 million. With current liabilities equaling approximately half the Borough's annual budget, it seems extremely likely that criteria 1, 2, and 7 are indeed true. However, because the Center was unable to obtain reliable records of expenditures or revenues for 2012 or 2013, it is not possible to prove a deficit or that expenditures exceeded revenues for these years. For 2014, the Borough had a deficit of at least $328,000. But because of the Borough's deficient financial management system and questionable prior finances, it is difficult to know an exact amount for the 2014 deficit. Regardless, because the department was only able to gather data for 2014, these criteria remain not validated, despite their likely veracity. Criterion 8. The municipality has failed to make the budgeted payment of its minimum municipal obligation as required by Section 302, 303, or 602 of the Act of December 18, 1984, known as the Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard and Recovery Act, with respect to a pension fund during the fiscal year for which the payment has been budgeted, and has failed to take action within that time period to make required payments. Auditor General reports on the Borough's pension system indicate that Colwyn has failed to make its budgeted MMO payments for 2012 and 2013, nor has it adequately deposited its state aid allocations into an eligible pension plan. While it did pay a portion of its 2012 and 2013 MMO, the $11,653 in